now?
Yep. I've been catching them all lately. So.
I guess, I'll take this.
By the way, we're starting.
Oh, we are? Yep. All right, well, Eric, grab one of the two things on the hand.
Oh, life would kill me. I've got 3,500 tied up in the CNC machines and pieces sitting on my deal right now. But I need to.
Taylor, that's the life of an entrepreneur.
Well,
You put a lot of money out in the beginning and
yeah, well, she knows
slowly
that.
get it back.
She's supporting me 100%, but I feel bad because I got to get it back to her, you know, somehow, some way.
Oh, put me in the middle.
Yeah, man, we're here, we're live.
Fat ugly guy.
We're ready, I'm gonna share it real quick.
Fat ugly guy's in the middle.
We'll make you look smaller.
No, not really. Probably make you guys look like you're, buffed and thinned out.
Let's see if I can share it to a page. No, not that page.
All right, guys.
So I'm trying to share the National State Kayak Anglers group page.
I've had a hard time finding, to be honest with you, had a hard time finding, getting it to hook up and finding it.
You're gonna have to silence that.
I'm trying to share the National State Kayak.
So, if you show me how to get to it, I appreciate it. Because I have a picture of it on the captain meeting sometimes.
You got the share?
I'm about to.
I can do it. I'm right here. With the group?
You guys are live. It's on.
Okay, all right.
Like,
All right.
All right, folks. So, hey, we're live coming at you. Getting ready for what is going to be event number 4 on the National State Kayak Angler Central Trail. We're going to be down at Lake Nimrod, which, right now, I think we got about 16 people signed up. Last
18.
time, 18. So, we usually see a big jump on Friday, so I expect that to continue to grow. Weather forecast wise, we're going to get a little rain Friday. We're going to get some Saturday. I always say, hey, the fish are already wet. They really don't mind the rain. So if you can suck it up, the rain jacket on, I don't think the fish are going to be too bothered by the fact that they're getting wet out there. We'd love to see folks come out and join us. So it's one thing I'd say, definitely plan for the rain, maybe bring a change of clothes to jump into afterwards as well.
Looks like it might be clearing out by 7 or so.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
saying, my
good.
weather's saying about 8 or 9 o'clock, it's all supposed to clear out, it's supposed to become.
There you go, just sleep in like I did for the first day of BOS, and then come on out.
Yeah. No, we don't suggest that.
But before we jump into Nimrod, we're going to recap. We got, of course, some guests with us today. Got Eric, who's really been on a run here lately. I mean, he went top 3 at Conway, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then we turn around, won Dardanelle.
Yep.
And then you had a top 10 finish at the Hobie BOS at Dardanelle. And then William here, I wanted him to kind of talk about his plan going into Dardanelle. We were talking about this before we came in, just kind of getting back to basics and simplifying things, and how sometimes for anglers, particularly like myself, that now I have all the toys. Now I have everything. Sometimes I overpack. Sometimes I overthink things. Sometimes I bring too many rods. Kind of talk about your strategy going into that and how you accomplished the goals that you set out for yourself, which was to land in the top 50 of that event, of a completely stacked field of anglers.
Yeah.
But let's kind of recap our last event. Dardanelle. We saw a lot of fish caught. Some limits. So you share a little bit at the LinkedIn your strategies and talk a little bit about what you found that day and kind of what helped you win.
If you go back to NSKA when I got first place at that, went back to basics on that one, going to the community hole. Everybody knows
Right.
the community hole in Illinois Bayou. So I just knew that the temperature was right. What I was using was probably different than everybody else, and it worked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
using an underspin. I mean, nobody's using an underspin right now the way that I was using it. You kind of jig it instead of reeling it in. So
Well, you know, it was interesting to see as you moved a week ahead into the Hobie BOS. I was going every day after work. Some of the community holes that I know about in Piney, I was not seeing a soul. And turned out when me and Jeff Malott went there on day 2, like we only saw one other person really in the area we went to, and it was Brian Howe, who ended up in second place. So I think everybody had the mindset of get away from everybody, and they all kind of ended up, you know, up in the north part of the waters that were accessible for the Hobie BOS.
that was my first day. I
Yeah.
did go up north, and I followed Christine Fisher all the way around.
Yeah, we fished both days up north.
Yeah.
So,
And so I heard that you guys had an influx of people day 1, but day 2 is just
well, I'll go back to NSKA because it kind of ties into the whole thing. My NSKA tournament was an absolute disaster. I had a broken rudder and I had a broken drive, all by 1:30 in the afternoon, so I was off the water. 0 fish. So my frustration level went through the roof. I went home and literally stripped down. I got rid of 3/4 of the gear that was on my boat. Is gone now. And I went into Hobie. We went in and we pre-fished several places up north for the exact reason we wanted to stay away from the community hole. We figured there'd be every boat and their dog on there. Plus, we'd heard there was bass boat tournaments, so they'd be in there. So we were avoiding it, and we started out up north, and we fished all the ones. You know, we fished King, we fished Cabin, we fished Cedar, and we decided to go into Cedar. And our pre-fishing in Cedar went really, really well on the first day. The second day, we had, like you said, we had a lot of people up there. We saw a lot of big guns. And they came out with 0. We went in, and I came out with 7 small ones, but I caught 7. That indicates to me they're still there. I just didn't find the bigger ones.
Right. Yep.
So we went back up to Cedar, and my whole intent was to, just like you said, place in the top 50. It's my first national tournament. I have never competed in a national tournament before. And actually, my biggest goal was to catch 5 fish each day. Because I haven't done that in a tournament, to be honest with you, because it's been a rough year for me, to say the least.
Yeah.
That's your first
It's
goal.
my first goal, and I've caught 4, but that 5th fish has always eluded me. And I did that on the first day.
Yep.
And and again, going back to what he said, I was throwing something nobody else was throwing. I threw a little bitty craw bug, a 3.5-inch craw bug on a 4/0 with a 1/8 ounce weight, and because of the hollow body on that. You throw it up in there with that weight, the weight will slide between the branches, but what's happened was that crawbug was staying up, and they were hitting in the top third of that brush pile. So anybody was throwing a weighted worm or stuff, it was dropping past them too fast.
Okay.
And that's how I picked them up, and it worked really well. I pulled 2 17s out of a brush pile that another fisherman had just left.
Yeah, mine was kind of the same thing, but using the underspin, I was using like a jig. I was bringing it up and just letting it fall, and the spin going down.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, me and Jeff Malott, you know, not knowing that Brian had been there on day 1, you know, I saw an angler leaving the area, like probably 300 yards away from us going down a bank when we kind of came into this little cove that's protected. And I fished it pretty hard. And I mean, I caught 14 fish within 30 minutes on day 2. And we see this angler coming back through, not having a clue who it is at the time. And he comes right around the corner that I had fished, catches a 20-inch fish. And we're like, hey, man, does that have any size to it? And, you know, it turned around and hey, it's Brian. You know, we're like, oh, shoot, man, what place are you in? He's like 3rd. And we're like, okay, well, you know, me and Jeff just kind of watched him for a little bit. He was just doing something completely different than what we were doing. Yeah. You know, here I was throwing a Cinco, wacky rig style, and had that slower, you know, mentality. And he was throwing, you know, pretty good size, what looked to be a swim jig or a chatterbait. And, you know, you heard that when the top 10 talked about, you know, what they did. A lot of guys were throwing moving baits.
I switched back and forth with the chatterbait, but this underspin just took it over. I mean, they just couldn't resist it. So
it sounds like, you know, if you find something a little bit different, doesn't matter if you're in a community hole or not.
Yeah, it's different. So the thing is when I went into Hobie, I went in with 1 worm box and 2 3700s. That's it. That's all I had gear wise, and 3 rods.
Yeah.
And so my strategy was I knew what shape the bait was. And the first day I threw that craw bug, I actually switched that craw bug about noon, and that's when I started getting hits the first day. And then the second day, That bike died at noon. It was almost like 24 hours later, completely died. But same shape, slightly different color, and they were back on.
There you go.
Simplicity was it. I just
Yeah.
stayed with what I had, and it worked.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit. You know, Larry, who's in here with us, will tell you I'm known for overpacking and taking everything. You know, because I have gotten burnt a few times of needing something because a cold front moves in or something of that nature, and I don't have it. And so I've been known to overpack. I actually. Yeah,
It don't matter.
I kind of cut some things down before the Hobie.
I do bring everything.
But kind of talk about, you know, how you think that impacted your fishing.
The last year, well, I've had a lot of things happen. I had 2 surgeries, major surgeries over the last year, and it gave me time to sit and think. And for about 4 months being on your ass, you get a lot of time, excuse my French, you get a lot of time to sit and think. And I went into this year going, I'm going to go gung-ho, and I went all the way up until the Dardanelle tournament, frustrated as hell because I wasn't catching anything, or I catch 2 or 3, or, you know, I wasn't playing, you know, doing. And I said, you know what, after Dardanelle, after that fiasco, I said, I'm going to do it, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going back to what I know from when I was a kid that caught me fish every time.
Yeah, kind of back to basics.
Back to basics. So I had 7 rods on my boat, stripped down to 3. I've got 2 mediums and a medium heavy now. I'm getting ready to strip down to 2. I think I'm going to go down to 2. And then I went down from 7 3700 box down to 2 3700s and terminals. So
Is it live or no?
off.
No, we're still on.
Okay, all right. So sorry, technical difficulty. But I went back to basics, and the thing is, what I found that was amazing to me was going out into the Hobie, which is supposed to be my biggest tournament of the year, my first national tournament. I should be stressed to the gild. I had no stress.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was cracking jokes about frozen crappie at the landing and stuff, and it felt good. Okay, it felt right, and I went in that tournament and did get my both fish both days. Went in blind to one area. I went into Horsehead Creek, never haven't seen it before in my life, and still pulled 5, sticking to what I knew. And that's, if you're frustrated and you just feel like you're overwhelmed, get rid of all the junk. Go back to what you know, and it's made a huge difference to me. The last 3 days of my fishing have changed dramatically. I've been pulling 80, 90 inches on every pre-fish trip. Just doing what I know to do, which is for me, it's you're a spinnerbait, chatterbait guy. I'm a chatterbait craw guy. And
I got 22 chatterbaits in one box.
yeah, I got 3. Okay, that's how I scaled down. I got 3, one of each color.
I got one of each color and one of each size.
Yeah, I've got 3 jigs, 3 chatterbaits, and a couple, 3 or 4 spinnerbaits. I mean, that's how far I stripped down from 20 different chatterbaits and all that. But what I found is the ability to know that what was in my box without having to look, and know what I wanted to throw
I
without
think
having
it's
to look.
also, when you simplify like that, it's like
You got to make do with what you got.
You're going to make it work.
Right.
You're going to find a way to make whatever's in that box work, or you're just not going to catch them that day, and then you just have to live with that.
Right.
It's okay, right?
Kind of check that philosophy. You know, you got to find the pattern the fish want.
Yeah.
Well, no. The way I looked at it when I'm going in Dardanelles, I'm going to make my pattern that the fish want. So I had to change things up, whether it was the speed of the retrieve, whether it was, like I said, going to the craw bug. I stayed with that craw theory through the whole thing because I'd done well in pre-fishing with it. But it was those minor changes that allowed me to catch those couple extra fish that moved me up.
I was just looking at chatterbaits a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Well, good job to you, man, for crushing a limit both days.
That was
Normally, Eric will tell you that just getting 5 fish both days in a 2-day tournament would springboard you way on up. There was a lot of competition in this event. Still a big accomplishment to grab both of those, and to get in the top 50 in this
38
particular event is, man, that's doing something. There's a lot of big sticks, and congrats to this guy here who represented the club, got in the top 10 there. Really some good points on the year. You're really sitting pretty for getting into the TOC.
I want to go to Hartwell, but I don't think I'll make that. But I'll be going to Sam Rayburn for sure.
Yeah, and then we got Pickwick in September. Really, just for me, I think if you get in the top 25 in both of those, you're in. No
Get
problem.
all the
Because you
points
get
that make
to
sense.
understand,
Yeah.
most of the people that are going to be in the top 15 are already going to be qualified.
Yeah.
So you should be good. But before we jump into Nimrod and kind of talk about, what to expect when you get there, we brought William in. William and Larry are actually sponsoring this event. They've started their own little customs business, and I want to let William tell you a little bit about what they're doing and kind of some of the products we can expect in the future.
Well, thanks. Team Willery Customs is it's a combination of Larry and I. Larry's my silent, well, not so silent partner, but this basically we all started one night. We fish out of 10-foot boats. Okay, so they're very small boats, and one of the things when you talk about space is premium is you got to have space. And one of the biggest frustrations to me when especially with all the nationals moving to the metal, and with the damage I've had to my right side, it was very difficult for me to reach back and grab a board, especially with a 33-inch Catch X, because that sucker's heavy. So we were sitting around playing around one night. We figured out something. Can you mind hand me that? Basically, it's a device that fits on your rail and holds your board flat. Now this is basically one piece of it. This is the second one, but it sits there and it holds your board flat, and it just kind of expanded. And now this is a pre-production model, so this is not anywhere near final production. This is all hand cut. The stuff we're doing is going to be done on CNC machines. It's a modular system. You'll be able to actually change out the risers. So like if you're a guy who wants to go to, say, Atkins, you're going to be up on the trees because it's swollen, you're going to need your rods in a horizontal position. We will have a 4-rod holder.
Yeah.
All you got to do is unattach it, put it on, use the same backbone.
And that's what I talked to you outside.
Yeah.
I'm very interested, of course, when I'm in Seabiscuit, my 10.5 foot top water, you're right. Like, space is a premium. Those horizontal rod holders would be an awesome asset to have.
Well, we're looking at right now, we've got just a basic model that'll hold just a board. Now, this one's designed specifically to hold just the regular Catch, but they will actually hold the Catch X. This one is a single rod holder. So if you're like me, like him, like throw a chatterbait, follow up with a worm, your rod can be staged right here, and it's quick, easy to grab. It's out of the way. If you got a wicked sidearm cast and you go low, put the rod back towards the back. It's still there. It's still convenient. It's just painting out the back. It's real easy. This is not sitting any high enough off your rail that causes any type of interference. One of the things that we've discovered just in playing around with it is if you're going in the trees, you don't have a 4-rod holder or something to put your rods in. You can actually hold up to about 6 full rods and use the bungee cord to keep them there while you're going under the bridge or
That's
whatever.
a good thought.
But this one's a single. We'll have a double that'll actually hold 2 that you can stage out. We're looking at a 4. We're actually looking also with a 4 with a board holder. So the board will go into a vertical position. You'll be able to still hold 4 rods. But basically with a Catch X, if you happen to have Catch X, which seems to be the way we're going, it's actually a friction fit. There's no reason to actually have to lock it down, but we will provide all the bungees, all the connections, all the parts you need to be able to take it out of the package with nothing but a simple Phillips screwdriver, be able to attach this to your rail and be fishing in a matter of 5 minutes.
So when can folks expect to be able to start getting their hands on these things?
Oh, probably about another month or 2. We did some R&D, especially on this one. There's some major changes coming as far as design on it. So the other problem is the CNC machine got delayed coming from China.
I've watched these updates.
Don't ever ship anything with FedEx, please. But anyway, the machine was delayed by about 2 weeks. I'm about 2 weeks behind schedule getting it built. It will get built next week, and once it's built, then we can get into the final stage of R&D. So we're hoping in about a month we will be releasing these two, the single and just the board catcher, and then following month we're going to be releasing stuff. And we'll keep going. We're also going to do one-offs. If people have an idea that they want, they'd like to have made, give me a call.
Yeah, I've heard something about a coffee maker for somebody.
There's a 12-volt coffee maker. I haven't decided yet whether it's going to plug in or whether it's going to be battery powered. But yes, it is already designed. It is already there. It's ready to go. We've got one-offs. We're looking at making boxes to go inside of the hull to close up your wiring so it's water protected.
Yeah.
So people who like to do custom, if you use the Acolyte system, it's a great system, but I've got more lights than Yak Attack has, and I got a bundle of wires in the front. If I can find a way to clean those up, well, our wire maintenance will do that for you. They're very small, very thin, waterproof, and they can be Velcroed right up to the inside of the yak,
Awesome
keep it out of the way.
stuff,
So
Well, we look forward to seeing,
appreciate you having
as
us here.
the products, continue to evolve, and pretty cool. I mean, you guys saw a niche in the market, something that wasn't being, accounted for, jumped on it. So I hope it takes off for you guys, and I'll definitely be looking for those rod holders when they come out.
Yeah, the basic thing is we couldn't find anything that allowed us to take our boards directly off the side without having to slide them. And when you got a 10-foot rail, everything else I saw that's out on the market, you had to slide the board out to get to it. This is pop out, turn sideways, take a picture, throw it back, and you're good to go.
Well, good stuff, man. So I'm sure at some point you guys will have a Facebook page and all those.
We have a Facebook page now. The website and all will be launched when we have the product, because we
Okay.
want it to simultaneous. So if you want to keep up to date, Team Willery on Facebook, you can find us. I always post up about once a week, or try to post up once a week, an update of where we're at. And I'll also put pictures up of some of the designs in their various stages of development. So
You're a pretty good storyteller. So
I
I like keeping up with the FedEx story as it evolved. That was pretty entertaining. So if you're just looking for some good reading material, this guy's worth a follow anyway. So
as somebody put it, I can cuss you out and use the right words. I guess is a good way of putting it.
You definitely at least started out with, this is gonna be long.
Yes, I will tell you if it's going to be a long post, but I'm not going to hold back either. So
well, let's start looking into Nimrod a little bit. So I've never been on the lake, so I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of talking. But you guys, why don't you tell our anglers out there what type of structure? Let's start there. They can expect to see out there on the lake, and the depth and kind of water clarity and things of that nature.
well, you went to
I went all
area.
out.
Yeah, you went a little bit different area than we did, except for one day. I've never been to Nimrod until just this week, and I was really kind of impressed with the amount. There's a lot of buckbrush up on the shore. There's one patch of cypress, but other than that, there's no other cypress on the lake. If you're back up, what I found, and I don't know because I didn't get out to some of the areas you did, but on the channels, there's a lot of undercut from the water flowing, because that lake floods and
I've
goes
heard
down,
that,
flood and
yeah.
goes down. So there's a lot of undercut. So anywhere there's roots growing that there's an undercut, you want to be tossing at those, because the fish are holding, what I found is they're holding kind of up close to the shore on a little bit of cover. And it doesn't have to be very much cover. It can be just a little stick up, but you'll pull a 20-inch fish off of it. So
Eric, what's your experience out there and kind of?
Well, we have property out there, so I've been fishing for almost 20 years. If you start out Sunlight Bay, that's all the way by the dam, you're going to be, if you go to the south side of it, you got to cross the lake, but that's all a bluff wall. You're going to have a lot of rock over there. Rattle traps, crankbaits, spinner baits, you're going to do good over there. Right now, they are catching some 18 to 20-inch fish over there. If you go over to Sunlight Bay or Quarry Cove, you get into those coves, you're still going to have some buckbrush over there, and you're going to do pretty good in those. I caught one in Quarry Cove when I was up there Tuesday. It was an 18-inch. Didn't take long. I was there for about 15 minutes, and I ended up catching him. So had a couple bites. Then if you go down further down, you're going to have Cedar Point and County Line. That's all buckbrush up in there, and that's where we launched that last year. I crossed the lake, and when I cross the lake, there's another good spot over there. I don't recommend it this time because you're going to have 15 to 20 mile an hour winds over there. So I would stay away from the south side of the lake because the wind's going to be keeping you over there. It's going to be rough. You have a trolling motor, go for it. But
Right, yeah. I'd hit the spot lock.
are they
Stay in one
predicting
spot.
the winds that high? Because last
Yeah.
I saw, there's about 8 or 9 inches. So.
yeah, later in the day, it's going to get rough.
Okay.
But I'll let you keep going.
But I would stick with the buckbrush. The whole lake, from what I found, and the people that I've talked to here, everybody's saying the buckbrush is going to be the ticket.
Well, and I tell you, Chris Wright, I think y'all probably saw posted some pictures. He went out and had a good day, and he loves to fish buckbrush. I can tell you that much. He loves to go to Burr and fish that stuff. So when I saw he was posting those pictures and I've heard a little bit of brook brush out there, I'm like, okay, Chris, I know what you're doing out there. But
It's a brook brush lake.
I tell you, now he told me his 5 best fish were all over 20 when he was out there.
Yeah,
It's gonna be easy.
So I've heard it's going to take
it's going to be a high numbers tournament.
close to 100 inches.
Mhm.
Which is awesome. I mean, that'd be cool.
Well, we launched one day on day one of our practice. We launched, and within 45 minutes, I had a 20, an 18.25, an 18.75, and a 17.75, all within 100 feet of the ramp.
Nice.
Second day, he launched and he pulled out 320s.
Which ramp was
I'll let you know Sunday. But he pulled out 320s, a 20, and one. He pulled out 320s and a 21, and several 18s. I pulled out several 18s, several 19s. So anywhere you go on this lake,
I've heard that.
you are going to have a chance at a big bag,
I've heard
and
that.
you're going to be looking. You get a 16-inch fish in your bag, expect to have to call it at the rate it's going right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking at everybody thinking that they're probably gonna look towards the river,
You're gonna
Yeah.
average.
and you really don't have to.
Okay.
Because I went at each of the main ramps and ended up getting about 18
Well,
fish.
and
So
for someone that likes the river,
I know where
tell
you're
me
going. Roland.
tell me a little bit about what to expect up there. Is this like a river that would come in the Greers where it's rocky and clean or clear, or is there brush coming back
It's-
to me, or what's it?
Now-
What can I expect?
I
When
would-
you get all the way back into Porter Creek at the last bridge that you can actually cross, and you can launch from that bridge, it is going to be a southern Louisiana
Okay,
stain.
I got
You know that
yeah,
that rust color,
except
and you're kind of
ballpark.
scared of it. You're
I
kind of
ain't
like,
scared of it.
No, I mean,
A lot of people
ballpark.
love it.
Me and Cat on Lake get along just fine.
a lot of people love that color.
It is. If you got if you get it close enough, it's another one of those tournaments like Dardanelle was, where you're gonna have to smack them on the head. But if you smack them, they're gonna bite it
Yeah.
and not let go, because it's definitely, and it can be a matter of inches. So if you're throwing it at what I found throwing at brush piles, especially buck brush, you got a little one, you want to start on the outside edge, work all the way across, because that fish could be on the outside, he could be in the middle, but he's in there. And if you don't throw to him, he's not going to come out for it.
Okay.
So there could be some frustration for people that are doing the run and gun style, where they're skipping over fish because they don't realize that it was just a matter of 6 inches left or 6 inches right. Makes a difference. So another thing I can say from my experiences and on the river, because I was kind of over in that area, is take your time, pick those brush piles apart. They're in there. It's just pick them apart.
Now the crazy thing is, you get into the main river
Mm-hmm.
that comes into the lake, it's almost blue. It's
Really?
it's clean.
Okay.
And if you're crossing out of Porter Creek
Mm-hmm.
and come into the main river, you can actually see where it meets.
Little mud line.
Yeah, there's a mud line. And as soon as you get into that clear water, I mean, the fish turn on again. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Be a unique fishery. We as a board, try to think of different lakes to throw in and mix it up. Nobody wants to fish the same lakes every single year, so we try to throw this one in and mix it up a bit and just kind of see how it goes. Now, one thing that we definitely need to talk about is cell phone service out there.
I did get service at every place that I stopped. I went ahead and made
I
sure.
did.
What do you have?
So,
What line of service do you have?
Verizon.
What do you have?
Well, I'm technically still on Sprint network, but everybody knows I was bought out by T-Mobile. But
Okay.
because I haven't swapped over, I'm running off of Sprint's tower still.
Okay.
So I had service everywhere.
So Verizon and Sprint.
T-Mobile should work out there.
T-Mobile. Chris said he had a little bit of trouble. He's got AT&T. I haven't been out there, so I don't know.
Just check your phone,
But
make sure.
just make sure that if you're not able to get your photos uploaded, that you have a plan to get over to the Junction Cafe. You will get service there, I'm told.
Yeah.
Get there, a bit early. May impact your fishing for the day, but it better be, safe and get those fish loaded
Yes.
than not. Kind of know that going into things. Now, we put what's called a launch boundary in place for this particular event, which means, and it's on the event page, if you look down in there, it essentially means you can launch at that boundary, but you're not restricted to that spot. You can actually go as far up as you would like, as long as you don't portage and get out of the kayak. So that's what Hobie does. I've kind of been talking to the crew about it. I think it's a good way
I think it's
of
an
doing
excellent, I think it's an
things.
excellent way to do it.
I would love to see us do that for Greer's next year, possibly, and continue to
I think
maybe
it's-
even do that with other lakes. Where, okay, hey guys, I get, we got to put a boundary somewhere, so we're gonna have somebody launching over in Oklahoma.
Right.
But allow folks to get as far up that water as they want. Now, and
Because
this,
that opens up Porter Creek, because that opens that backside of Porter
Yeah,
Creek up.
That's what I wanted to do, because
Yeah,
I kind of lived up there for years.
yeah,
And that whole area is crappie heaven. I mean,
oh,
you're
yeah,
catching.
thick.
I'm 2 ounces away from the lake record out there.
there you go. But I don't know how much it'll play in this particular event, being the time of year it is. But some of our summertime events, like when we do the Piney Bay Illinois split,
That's gonna be nice to be
that's
able
going
to
to
get up.
be huge.
Yeah, 'cause
if
you're gonna
we
look for
keep
that corridor clear of
kinda
water.
going,
Yeah.
where we put a launch boundary somewhere, but say, hey, go up as far as you want, as long as you don't portage. Just something we wanted to play with this particular event, see how it went, or whatnot.
Well, I think Nimrod's a great lake for that, because that Highway 8 boundary is so clear.
Mhm.
And it's a very good place. And then you've got enough river that you can go quite a ways up beyond it, or the high where Road 9 crosses in Porter Creek, you can go either into the main creek, or you can go to that channel that no bass boat can ever get into because they can't get under the bridge.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
And like what John was posting yesterday on the page, there's going to be a couple trails out there that are going to get muddy.
Yeah,
And
the
you're-
9th Street one is liable to get one.
You're going to be pushing some dirt.
I've never been out there. I've got claiming for insurance from another adventure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna probably stick to a regular boat ramp for once.
If we get a lot of rain, the one on 9th that he was talking about, I would kind of maybe back up and maybe move over into the actual Porter Bay Sunlit Bay one, where it's actually a paved ramp.
Yeah.
Because it's only a mile from there to the 9 point. So if you're going to try to fish that area and you're thinking, I can't get my car or my boat down there, jump over the other ramp. It's an easy pedal or paddle right down to where you want to
Heck yeah.
fish. You can be there
Keep
in
your
20
maps
minutes.
up.
Keep your maps up, because it is confusing back there.
Now,
Um,
let's talk a little bit about what stage, are you seeing the fish in? I know when we were at Dardanelle, it seemed like we had fish in all 3 stages. We had fish. I think there were some fish that were post-spawn. I can tell you there were some fish that were post-spawn, because when I caught them the week before on their beds, they were absolutely gone the next weekend. But anyways, there were some fish I think that were still up. I caught plenty of males in my second spot up in Piney, because that water is generally a little bit colder. They're a little bit further behind, and then there were some fish that hadn't even pulled up yet.
yeah,
So what do you guys think about Nimrod as we go into it?
I saw kind of all 3 again.
Okay.
The one thing I discovered about Nimrod versus Dardanelle, just a week ago, is if you threw up on a brush pile a week ago, there's one fish. You got to go to the next brush pile to find it. This one I found, if you throw up in there and you pull a fish, and that fish is say a 15 or 16, throw in there again, because I guarantee you mama's still in there somewhere. And so
Nice.
I'll
We
go
did get
pull 'em.
lucky because the
So you
water
think
has-
they're paired up right now?
They're grouped. They're maybe paired. There's 3-4 fish per brush pile, where Dardanelle was just one. And so you're seeing not only spawning pairs, but you're seeing post spawn, and you see like they're coming up into spawn and they're still trying to fight it out. I've seen fish in all conditions beat up.
we're getting lucky because a couple of weeks ago, if you would have gone, the water was up a lot higher, and the buckbrush was so hard to get to the fish because the fish were so far back up in there. They've come out to where they're almost on the outside of the buckbrush now, so you don't have to dig as far.
Yeah, you don't dig way up in there. Yeah, I'm seeing all. So
Well, as we usually do, kind of wrap things up here with some of the picks from you guys. Talk about some of the things you threw in the basket that you would recommend for this particular lake. Give folks that, never been there, like myself, because, I've never been there. No, but seriously, if folks wanted to come catch a few fish,
I'm going to do mine too.
go
okay.
ahead.
Just because
I'll do Larry's too.
it's what I've always used out there.
Yeah.
Now, everybody knows that I'm an underspin and a chatterbait guy, so I'm not going to bring those up. But if you go out and just a white spinnerbait with a willow blade, you're going to be matching all the shad that are out there. The shad are all over the place. Whopper plopper might be a little bit early right now, but I think it's gonna work. This might be,
No, I do know there were some big guns catching fish.
I
on
got
top
strikes on
water.
spooks. I got
Yeah.
strikes on spooks, so they are beginning to hit the top water.
I do believe it's gonna be something to look for.
Yep.
So those are my 2 picks for what I think is gonna be key out there for this time.
Bert, what do you got
Well,
in your hands?
we're gonna go the opposite way
That's
because.
what I wanted right there.
Yeah, because what we found actually is we didn't get a lot on moving baits. I got a couple strikes on spooks, got a couple strikes on a chatter, but nothing consistent. I went to a lizard, just a simple lizard, 1/8 ounce to a 1/4 ounce weight, just Carolina rig it,
Yeah.
just a 4/0 hook, and I actually set the hook back a little deeper so when they grab the back, because they're having a tendency to grab towards the back. Set your hook back a little bit deeper so when they grab it, you got them. Also, anything it's in a darker color, like the missile bait, these are the baby destroyers. A lot of appendages, a lot of movement, a lot of stuff, but darker color in that buckbrush, and
Yeah.
we were nailing them.
And I'll go with a smaller profile on all your moving baits.
Yes, small profile. All my salamanders were like 6 inches or less. Anything bigger than that, I got no hits.
Good stuff. So, you know, when you guys are saying those things, got a couple thoughts. Shad spawn
Mm-hmm.
could possibly be going on with water temperature being
It is.
up.
It was
And
at
with-
Dardanelle, so we
with-
did see that.
With the baits you're picking, you know, those are all things that if you throw that in a bass's bed, he wants that lizard out of there.
Especially lizards.
You
Yeah,
don't want
they
it
don't
to
like
eat his
them.
eggs. They'll get in there and eat the eggs,
Yeah.
you know, from the bass. And, you know, so they want them out of there.
Mhm. And-
So good thoughts on those things. Appreciate you guys joining us.
No problem.
You know, hope that gave some folks some direction. You guys look for Team Will Larry out there on Facebook.
Team Willery, we'll get it right one of these days. Still calls him by my last name too. So.
Yeah, there you go. But anyways, and the products that they're putting out, we hope to see folks on the water. First cast will be 6 a.m. On Saturday. And so, you know, if you got any questions, James White is your tournament director. Please reach out to him. And, you know, like I said, bring a rain jacket, and it should clear out by 8 o'clock or so.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Your phone.
Oh,
Yeah, your other one.
oh yeah.